This episode has been brought to you by My Extraordinary Productions, helping you find the agents, managers, showrunners, and casting directors you need to connect with. Click the link in the description to learn more. Hello, everybody. We are doing my first hyph-life interview. My guest today is from overseas. Sam Smith is an actor from Ireland who has been in LA for the last couple years, and I'm going to talk to him about his experience. So, let's just start off with an easy one. Sam, how's it going so far?
It's going good. Sam Lucas Smith,
Oh,
I
yes,
go by
yes.
these days. I can thank a certain singer for getting popular a few years ago, for forcing me to change my name, as it happens. Funny story, I started getting fan mail misdirected for him. One thing was meant for me, but I will admit the majority was intended for him. So to keep everyone happy, I changed my name. I stuck a Lucas in there. So Sam Lucas Smith.
Sam Lucas Smith, everybody. Is that your Instagram, Facebook, all
All
social?
over IMDb, Instagram, birth cert, in fact, as well. It's officially my full name, or Samuel Lucas Smith, if I was to go by the birth cert.
Okay, and your mother's maiden name and um
I'll
no,
hold that information.
okay, good. So, where are you originally from? I said Ireland, but Ireland is a big place.
It's not really. I mean, it's tiny. It's Ireland.
Okay, well, it's not
far
like
away.
walking distance.
Okay. Yeah. No. It's I am from Ireland, from Southern Ireland, because there is a difference between the north and the south. And I moved over here a bit over 2 years ago when I got my permanent residency card, green card, in other words, which was a lot of work, and I'm glad to have it now. Uh, I did live in London for a while, and I went to the UK after graduating from school in Ireland, and I went to study in the UK. I did 3 years at drama school, rolling around on the floor, chanting stuff and learning about Alexander technique and semi-supine and all these other things that I really haven't had the chance to use lately, but it has founded a sort of a foundation, I guess, from which you can learn to act professionally, and professionally obviously being when you're paid to do it, which is rarity these days because there's pandemics and stuff going on. So
Yeah.
lately I have been making my own work, which sadly doesn't pay. That actually costs me money, but the idea is that it'll lead to paid work in the future.
Mm-hmm. And I hear the director there is like super easy to work for, super chill guy.
Who's that? Me?
You say that you've only lived here for 2 years, but I've got records of us knowing each other back in 2015, which
And there's the thing, I've only lived here for 2 years.
Okay.
I was on a visa at the time, which is a restrictive category, which during which time I could only work as an actor on an O1 visa. So what I learned at the time, sadly, was that it's very restrictive, even when it comes to acting work, because I screen tested for a pilot for a major studio at the time. And as it turned out, I couldn't be hired because they started clamping down and basically saying green card or nothing. So they wouldn't even accept visas at this stage.
Oh, wow.
So I had to go back to Ireland, went back to Ireland, and kind of set my sights on trying to petition for a green card while completing a master's degree in screenwriting at the time.
Okay. That's actually a question I suddenly have. So I know that you're supposed to work whatever job it says, so it says on your visa. So what happens if you decide to like start a lemonade stand, or you just get an Uber job to just, you know, because you're not acting all the time, you have time in between gigs, especially when you're starting out. So if they find out about that, does something happen?
I mean, legally you can be deported. Does something? Sometimes stuff does happen. Mostly, what people say is like, "This is it. Don't take this as legal advice, but as
Right.
long as you're paying taxes, it should be fine." Now, that's to say for the duration of your visa. But at the end of your visa, you come to wanting to renew your visa, and they look very carefully to make sure that you have been in the United States and doing what you've been granted entry to do. They may well ask, okay, you were given your O1 visa for the purposes of completing this acting job. Did you do the acting job? Very often people don't even do the job. It's a job offer that never actually comes to fruition. And if that ends up being the case and they look into things and go, hold on, you were working in fucking whatever, a lemonade stand, as you say. Somehow this is a lemonade stand that is all above board and paying their taxes at the end of the year to the IRS. They would be able to detect that if they wanted to. And by all accounts, if you wanted to renew your visa or you were, say, trying to graduate to a green card, it could serve as a, well, could rule you out completely. And if you are found, I mean, being denied a visa or a green card is not a good thing to have on your record when it comes to the USCIS. That's the immigration guys. It's a black mark, and it doesn't. It's not a helpful thing when you want to go to the US.
I could imagine so. Obviously, you have chosen to live in America, technically twice now. When you came over, was that like a very specific intentional choice? I am moving to America, specifically Los Angeles, so I can be an actor and do all of the actor things? Or was it like some opportunity came out of nowhere, seemed like a good deal, you came over?
Some opportunities did come up that kind of took me over initially. I had a very good agent in London at the time, and I got connected and had some meetings set up over here. And I kind of fell in love with the place, and I fell in love with the energy and drive about the place, that it was all consuming and everything to do with the industry that I wanted to work in, which can be frustrating at times when you want to step away and want to, rejoin reality. But ultimately, it is the epicenter of the film world. And also the money here is a lot better. When you get to the highest levels, it's certainly hard to break in, but when you do, the money is a lot better than it is certainly in Ireland. SAG is not a thing in Ireland, and there's a reason why a lot of productions go to Ireland, and the scenery is one of the reasons, and the tax breaks are another, and also getting day players in Ireland is quite a bit cheaper.
Yeah, I actually did have a friend. He knows like 100 languages because he's just that type of person. And I've been on Duolingo. Like, I got better at Spanish. I've been doing French. He suggested that I learn Irish Gaelic so that I could be in Irish TV shows. Any thoughts on that? Not me specifically, just
I'd say
idea.
I think there's a million other languages that would be more useful to you, not only as an actor, but in pretty much any walk of life. The Irish language, beautiful thing, and there's a cultural history behind it, and occasionally there are castings that demand an Irish accent. They're not going to be looking for anyone other than an Irish person to speak that accent. And even then, as an Irish actor in Ireland, it's a rarity that you're even going to need to use an Irish accent. There's a very limited amount of programming, all of it government supported, for TG Gahar that looks for an Irish accent. For anyone else, please don't learn an Irish accent unless you're interested in the accent itself. If you're doing it for career purposes, there's a million other languages: French, Farsi, German, Russian, anything that will serve you better.
Nostrovia. Because you lived in Ireland, you lived in London, you lived here, do you still have representation back in Ireland or London?
I no longer have representation in either. I had a great agent in London. He retired while I was here on a visa. The same week, funnily enough, as I say funny, that my American agent died. She passed away. So that was a rough week. So I kind of lost my one agent here, one agent there. And then I was kind of wondering, is it me? Am I just like, whatever, have I bad luck? So yeah, that was unfortunate for everyone involved. But I know I'm currently actually meeting with agents in the US. I have had a manager and agent since, but it wasn't a good fit, because ultimately a manager or an agent's job is to literally just set you up with appointments so you can go in and actually do your job, which is auditioning. And I didn't get any of those. So not much you can do if you're not in the room, or I say in the room, but you know, so to speak, everything's self-tape these days, but at least given the chance to compete and throw your hat in the ring. And yeah, and lovely people, nice agent, nice manager, but you know, it's a business relationship. I'm not here for friends. And tomorrow, as it happens, I'm meeting with a different agent. And I think for anyone who's looking for an agent, you know, they need to need you as much as you need them. So you know, it's a two-way interview. So and I've kind of learned that more so these days. You know, I was kind of previously when I was joining agents, like, oh, please take me, please take me. You know, I want to know that this person is going to lift their finger, that they have the connections necessary to help me, you know, as a relative newcomer, but with someone who has at least material under their belt, to be able to compete and to audition for roles, because you don't work unless you get the chance to audition, and that's the job. The job is literally just auditioning.
Okay. So when you did have, first of all, I just think it's funny that whenever someone says, I'm not here to make friends, I just have this image of someone like going to an audition or some sort of meet, you know, going somewhere, and someone, me saying, hi, my name is Mark, it's nice to meet you. And that person saying, fuck you, I'm not here to make friends. Like, I know that's not the attitude behind it. That's just
the great thing about self-tapes. You cut all the small talk. As well, when you have to do an American accent coming in, and then you're there to, oh, I hope they don't hear my Irish accent trickle through. I was like, should I turn up with an Irish accent and then go into the American accent? Or should I just pretend that, oh, I'm from America?
Yeah, that, because like I have been on the casting side enough where I have occasionally said like, I want to do this. Oh, this person has an accent. I'm going to have to explain why.
Oh, exactly. It throws you out of the loop because all you're hearing is, oh, you're foreign, you're foreign, you're foreign. And that's all that's going through their head. Unless you're literally one person with no attachments. It's like, unless there's like, you've got a brother, you got a sister, you got a mother or whatever, you know, you've got relatives. It's like, unless it's an Irish story or whatever, you got to be American. So that's the importance of dialect training and being able to switch it on and off when necessary.
When you had dual representation, how did your agent's manager's representation, how did everyone treat that?
Well, officially, they should all be on the same page. So you do it like I think it's a 7-7-7 split. So your London agent and your manager and then agent discuss and do a breakdown. And this is what happened. Until I was almost about to book a pilot, everyone was kind of operating independently, but they kind of knew about each other. But then it was like, oh, you're about to book something that's going to bring us all, like, it's going to be a big job with lots of money. Then everyone's like, okay, we're discussing deals and doing all that. So that was my first introduction into how it officially goes there.
Now, you mentioned that there was no SAG-AFTRA in Ireland.
There's a sort of union, but it doesn't compare.
Okay.
It doesn't cost $3,500 odd to join for a chain as well.
Yeah, that is fair. Are there situations where being an Irish actor in America is more of a selling point, like the Irish stories you were saying? Or do you feel like the explanation, they already have to be looking for whatever they're looking for?
They already have to be looking for. They're like, the only time it would ever be beneficial to be an Irish actor in America is they are looking for an Irish actor that looks like you for an Irish story in an Irish context, who happens to be 5 foot whatever. And even then, there's loads of Irish people who are fit the brief as well. So there's just as much competition. And besides that, maybe chatting up people in bars.
Can I ask what jobs you have held while pursuing an acting career? Or is that going to create problems?
Well, I have a green card, so I am eligible to work in whatever I want, and they can't kick me out. So I've worked a million different jobs to support myself, to pay rent, and to keep fueling this stupid addiction I have to making films, which are unfortunately expensive. At the moment, I work for a t-shirt company. It's convenient. It's work from home.
Oh, nice.
As long as I have a laptop, I can work from anywhere in the world. Do I love it? no, it's not what I wanted to be doing with my life, but it's perfectly fine and it allows me to do what I really want to do.
Yes, my channel is home of the hyph-life vlog. I talk about being a multi-hyphenate. I myself have had plenty of jobs, several of which I would not repeat that experience again.
Yeah,
Um,
character building.
yeah,
But it's got to be done, unless you're someone who's lucky enough to be born, with either a I say golden spoon in your mouth, or, you're handed a job straight out of drama school.
yeah,
Some lucky people are. You got to hustle. You got to work your way there, and it's kind of just being grown adults, just
yeah.
working your way up, fueling to support your actual ambition, and hopefully when things work out, maybe they will, it'll be all the more rewarding because of it.
Third time's a charm. So Sam Lucas Smith is our first return guest due to technical difficulties from the other day. So thank you for returning.
Good to be back.
All right. So let's see. I did have one or two questions that I didn't get to last time, and then a couple that popped up. You did mention about your training in London, going to drama school, and then getting your master's. I definitely sense that because it's such a saturated industry, training matters. Training is important. But I feel like in Los Angeles, where you get the training is a little less, they're a little more flexible in Los Angeles than in London. Am I correct in that assumption? Or is there something I'm not seeing?
I'm not. No, I think it's a safe thing to say. I don't really know myself. I think some people get caught up in the name where you trained, and like it's a thing on a CV. Nobody really cares where you've trained. If you're going, like, once you're actually working, it's like you're as good as your last job. The training itself, don't get caught up with the name of where you're training. It's about what you're training in and like the quality of the training, and that it's useful for you. So, establish, what works for you. If you want to train in a different sort of method as it is, some people like Meisner, some people like a mix of everything or whatever. There's no right or wrong. It's about finding what's right for you. And if something clicks with you, a certain person who you might be training with, and they help you become a better actor at the end of the day, then that's the best place that you can go.
Everyone here, especially, has your philosophy about like, yes, some names look better, but whatever gets you the job, whatever's working for you, do that.
Yeah.
One difference though is, I can't remember. Is the site called Spotlight?
Spotlight, yes.
Yeah. So
which was recently bought out, I believe, by casting networks, or the huge entity that owns that one and pretty much every other one beyond Access, except apart from Actors Access.
Okay. Well, a few months ago, I was just looking on the site, just saying like, is this worth it for someone in my particular position? And like here, if you're on casting networks or Actors Access or any of those other sites, you can just get a profile, and then you're training. Like,
yeah,
you can get an MFA from super prestigious school, or you can go to state school, or you can go to UCB or whatever, which, like, UCB is a great school and all, but it's not an accredited university.
Yeah.
But Spotlight, they made a point like you had to be from one of these specific schools, or you had to.
I think there is that official line, and certainly it was that when there was like a drama school accreditation or whatever when I was first joining. So I was eligible to join, and I know I have heard of people who've just like been trying to join and that they can't join. But I think, I don't think you need much really. I think the official line is you need to be in a professional role of some sort, or demonstrate that you're a professional actor. And I think if you have one or two things under your belt, it's not as exclusive as maybe it likes to think it is.
Okay, yeah, because I was definitely getting the catch-22 sense from them. Well, you need the commercial to get the thing, but you need the access to get the commercial audition.
I mean, that's pretty much the industry as a whole.
Yeah, right.
You can't get the job unless you're in the room with the casting director. You can't get into the casting director's office unless you're going through an agent. You can't get an agent unless you're recommended by a casting director. You know, it's kind of like, what, how does it work? It's a lot of luck and a lot of who you know. Some people know people already, and for the rest of us, we've got to hustle until they know us, basically.
Sure. So, one question I like asking people who have been abroad and come back, uh, you're familiar with the term culture shock.
Yeah.
Have you heard of reverse culture shock?
No.
So, culture shock is when you go to a new country and you say, wow, everyone's really weird.
Mm.
Reverse culture shock is when you go home and then you say, wow, everyone's really weird.
Yeah.
Have you ever had any of that experience?
I suppose, you know, it's because of the virus. It's been a while since I've been able to go home. Uh, they're different places, and the people, you know, are different. And you know, Ireland is an island nation, for better or worse. And we kind of we're so caught up in everything that's Irish, and it's like the world begins and ends in Ireland in so many ways. Uh, and yeah, I think there always is that, you know, I can recall just like stepping off the plane and it's like, oh, I'm back, but then you fall into your own ways. It's like, oh, I've never, you forget you ever left.
Yeah. I did have one reverse culture shock moment myself. Just I've always had friends come here say, "Wow, it's really, really green in Los Angeles, like unnaturally green in your particular neighborhood." And I said, "Okay, sure, buddy."
Huh.
Went away. Came back a few months later, and this time of year, I was looking around. I was like, "Oh my God, they're right. It's like Technicolor green here." Just little things.
Yeah, actually, my neighborhood isn't too bad for that. I'm in Glendale.
Last question, because we hope both have to get to things. Any last words of wisdom, things you'd like to share with everybody?
I think make your own stuff. It's been my way of kind of getting my foot sort of on the ladder. It's still very much a work in progress, but you know, throughout coronavirus and the pandemic, and as far as any introductions that I've had to agents, managers, and people who have been wanting to work with me, it's been because I've been doing my own stuff. You know, casting directors, for example, there's a million actors all the time reaching out to them going, oh, please give me a job, please give me a job. And usually, you know, maybe in a blue moon, they might bother to read your message. And then in another blue moon, they might have a role going that you're right for, and you might be able to be considered for it. But it's difficult. It's difficult to break in. So I think, I know it's a cliche to say, but think outside the box. You know, I was hiring for a casting director recently about a, you know, and what I realized is, casting directors seem to respond a lot more when I'm offering them a job. And it engage, you know, the job doesn't need to go anywhere. You know, it was a project that was in development, and I was chatting to a bunch of casting directors about potentially bringing them on board. And you know, it established relationships, and I think that's the important part. You know, particularly as a newcomer, everything about it, this industry is relationships. It's not enough to just be really, really fucking good. You got to be really fucking good, and that's the baseline minimum. It's then what, you know, and anything that you can do to just get your work in front of people and get people to consider you is important. And definitely, yeah, making your own stuff. You know, it's not enough to just be an actor these days. You know, don't leave someone else to tell you what to say and tell you where to stand. Write your own stuff. If you're an actor, you should be able to do it. Anyone can write. You know, nobody. It's the one and only thing that we don't need permission to do. There's nothing stopping us from making our own stuff.
All right, great. Thank you for that. So, if any of our guests would like to take a look at you or your materials or anything, where should they find you?
Well, anything that I can upload publicly. I've got a few films that are starting on the festival circuit at the moment. The latest one being a film that I won't say the title of, or I should. Well, my phone's gonna. I will anyway. It's called OK Google, and then my phone goes off. So that's happened. And apologies for anyone else's phone who goes off when I say that. And it stars Rebecca Black and myself, and it's a dark comedy about a vindictive AI assistant who breaks out of the cloud to exact revenge on her owner. That's just started festivals, and I hope to have it uploaded soon. And the rest of my films, most of them being dark comedies, I upload on YouTube. I've got a YouTube channel, and it's called Vard Productions. That's VARD Productions. And yeah, if you fancy checking anything out, I will gladly take the views.
All right, thank you so much. Everyone, if you have more questions for Sam and you would like him to make a third appearance on the vlog, please make sure you leave those in the comments below. Otherwise, please like the video, subscribe to the channel, follow me on social media, and I will see you all next time.